Hey everyone, thanks for coming. Hey. Oh, all right, I'm gonna start sharing my screen and hopefully my computer will not melt as it has been doing. Okay, and then hey everyone, thanks for coming. We're gonna get started in about 2 minutes. It's just kind of letting everyone filter in. Always takes a second to get signed in, register. Gotta enter your email twice. It's a lot, so. Let's see. Where is the participants group? There it is. Okay, cool. And then I'm just going to keep that over there. Awesome. All right. Hey everyone, thanks for coming. We're going to get started real soon, like 2-3 minutes. I'm just going to let everyone's phone have a chance to not be able to do Zoom or whatever it is that's happening with your connection. I'm sure everyone's kind of fighting with some little video call problem, so just always give it a few minutes. Don't forget to grab some water if it's super hot where you're at. And if you are calling in from a protest, you can definitely watch this video afterwards, so it's okay. But just want to say, you're doing good out there, everyone who's at a protest right now. I had a few people call into meetings various times because they're at a protest, and you do not need to be in this meeting if you're at a protest. You're good. Situational awareness, much better. We'll get started in about two minutes. And yeah, it's nice to see everyone. Gotta have a cold drink or I won't be able to talk. Okay. 21 participants. I'm gonna give it 60 more seconds just for like one late straggler to come in. I'm sure for the next 15 minutes people will come in, but yeah. I'm Liz Howard and I am the programs, I'm not like the whole programs manager, but I do some programs at CodePath. I help everyone who's learning to be a facilitator, so that's kind of who I am. A little bit about me as we're waiting for stragglers to come in. I've been in the tech industry for 20 years as an engineer or an engineering manager. I've been a CTO twice. I've started like 6 companies, and I've been doing this for a little while. So I'm here to help you learn to be a facilitator. I've been a teacher for the last like 10 years now. I guess it's 2020 now, so yeah, about 10 years. Yeah, I've taught a lot of classes. I've taught about 3,000 people in person, and I've taught over 1 million online, which is a crazy number to me. It's, at some point they're just reading stuff I wrote. I don't know that I taught them, but it's, I've been teaching for a little while, and I've been organizing information for a little while. So that's kind of why I'm here to teach you that facilitator stuff. But I'm also here if you have any questions about any of that stuff in my background that I mentioned it. And that's kind of why I mentioned it, is to make sure that you know that there's a bunch of awesome experts here at CodePath here to help you be a more effective community leader and a more effective engineer and build really awesome experiences for your career. And we're going to talk about some of that cool stuff that we're doing tonight. Hopefully tonight will be uplifting and energizing, and you'll get to feel like you're being equipped. So that's the goal tonight, and hopefully everyone is going to have a great time. So It's about 6:04, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. This is the facilitator training for our fall semester. Um, if you came last night, don't worry about hanging out. Just wanted to mention it's really a repeat of last night. So we just run this because everybody's got classes at weird times. So we want to make sure you have a chance to, see all of this stuff and meet other tech fellows. That's what we're going to do tonight to kind of go over exactly what we'll do tonight. Come on, computer, go to the next slide. There we go. So what we're going to do tonight, okay, hold on. My computer's going to rebel tonight. It gets kind of a little wonky sometimes, my internet lately, so apologies if the internet gets weird. I'll probably turn off my video. I would never normally turn off my video. Even when you teach remotely, it's very important to connect. And as a teacher, I just had to make sure it's very important to connect, but being able to hear me, I think, is more important than being able to see me. So I just want to make sure, can everybody hear me really well? If you could find the Zoom chat and just say, I can hear you, or yeah, or hi, something in the Zoom chat. Mostly just want everyone to locate, where is the Zoom chat? Because tonight, if you need to ask a question or interrupt or anything like that, I'm going to be watching the chat. It's on the screen next to me. So that's where the chat is. And then, what unites us, I always like to say, is that we're all giant nerds, computer nerds, every one of you. So if you could just raise your hand if you are a giant computer nerd in the participants window. There should be a hand raising section. It's both Android and cybersecurity and iOS all in one. This is the facilitator training, and what I'm going to teach you to do is teach technical topics. I've taught a lot of engineering topics over the last 10 years, and I'm here to teach you how to do it pretty well. So let's see. Cool, just want to make sure everyone's good. Okay, I can't see any hand raising. Oh, no, I'm starting to see hands raised. Okay, so the goal of right now, why don't you just raise your hand if you're a big, giant computer nerd. And I'm seeing enough hands raised that I start to believe that you found the hand raising. So, okay, that's good. All right, I've got the right class, got the right room. So what we're going to talk about tonight is we're going to talk about what this various series of trainings that we're going to put you through over the summer are, what they're for, what's going on with all that. We're going to have you meet each other. You will be in a lot of rooms with your specific class when you do the technical training. So this will be the only time you get to meet like the iOS or the Android if you're in cybersecurity, and vice versa, all of the different people. So we're gonna have you meet each other. And then we're gonna just talk about the resources that we'll give you. It's a lot, these resources, they're pretty dense. So we're gonna give you some links, and then, we know you're engineers, you'll read over a bunch of docs and kind of familiarize yourself. So it's a big giant information dump. We don't expect you to know all of it. We're just sort of showing you where to find all of the things that we're going to do in this course. And then what we have so lucky on the line is a bunch of experts here in growth and marketing and communication who are going to help you learn how to communicate to a wider audience and grow your community locally so that you can, get enough students in your class to run your class and, to feel like you really made a really big impact. So we've got, experts on the line, and that's gonna be great. And then we'll do a wrap up. So that's what we're doing. Most of you are pretty familiar by now, I think. Get a sip with what CodePath is. I think most of you are students from last year. Raise your hand if you were a CodePath student this last semester. Awesome. Got a couple here. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Whole bunch, oh yeah, all right. So you're familiar with what CodePath is, but if you're not, CodePath is a organization that is a 501c3. This is a picture of basically what we did this year. Halfway through the semester, we had a pretty serious, as you know, disaster happened and we transitioned to remote. And so we have kind of a picture of a bunch of our tech fellows from this year. And they, yeah, took a big Zoom call photo. And so we'll take one at the end of this training by the end of the summer. And so you'll be on there too. So yeah, this is who was here last year. And that's really who CodePath is. CodePath is really the student leaders who connect with the students and deliver information to the students. And we're equipping you to establish relationships on your campus to really help your other student body like thrive. So that's really the heart and the soul of CodePath is this picture right here. In terms of our goals, what we're really trying to do is help you. A lot of people who go through college, they're introduced to code and they're not introduced to building something that's really real, like applications or, you know, really knowing about industry relevant things like the most common cybersecurity vulnerabilities. So a lot of students really struggle when they're exiting college to really get that job. And so what we're trying to do is prepare you with real world skills by putting you into real world situations. So we're having you build iOS apps, we're having you build Android apps, and we're having you practice for interviews, we're having you perform like the real top 10 most common security vulnerabilities across the web. And then we're also helping with interview prep. We're helping with a lot of things, and also this program that you are in right now, which is the Tech Fellow program. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll be equipped to communicate to a wide audience. You'll be equipped to organize and plan sessions and get space and connect and network with other leaders on your campus and virtually, because we're going to be doing a lot of stuff virtually this year. And you know, last year we had 75% receive internships and jobs through our pipeline, our total pipeline. And so it is impactful and it's effective, and there are CodePath alum anywhere and everywhere. And so that's CodePath kind of in a nutshell. We are a nonprofit, and so we're funded by a bunch of big tech companies. And we're also funded by medium-sized tech companies, and we're funded by universities and all kinds of different groups. And so, you know, we're allowed to do what we want. And so we partner with these companies and we get a lot of great information about what to teach. And we take it to universities like yours and make sure that, you know, you get to do stuff that people are really doing in the industry. And so there's a harmonious, you know, loop there. These are our founders. I wanted to introduce them. There we go. We've got Michael Ellison, who's our CEO, and Nathan and Tim. They're really sort of the three that like got together and kicked it off and started doing those first trainings. They started off by teaching at these big companies, and they earned a reputation by training senior engineers. And they realized that everything the senior engineers were learning, junior engineers could definitely learn it too. And so they took those courses, brought them to universities, and that's kind of what we did. And it was Seon and Charlie that really helped to like turn them from like week-long trainings for senior engineers into like full courses for, I mean, you know, 12 weeks of content for all of you to run through. So that's kind of, yeah, what who we're made of and what we're working on. Any questions? Any questions? I mean, I'll go ahead and introduce kind of who you're going to be working with. So these are the gurus that you might recognize. These, if you have been involved with CodePath in the past and maybe you taught a different thing or you were like a TA or something like that, you probably met these people. Last year, they were the gurus who ran all of the technical trainings, and you might have seen them in some videos and things like that. And so they'll be mentoring you this year. This is Varun. I think he's the senior guru for Android, and then this is Clinton. He's with cybersecurity. You can kind of see. These two are the iOS crew. They're really awesome, and they built a really big campus on UCI, University of California at Irvine. And so you can talk to them about growing your campus to be really big, and what do you do when you have more volunteers than you could really, have be a tech fellow? They really mobilized a big student body, so you can kind of talk to them about that stuff. And then we have our new gurus this year. We have Mark in iOS, we have Blas and Shruti in cybersecurity, and then we've got Dennis in Android. And so they'll be mentoring you as well. So everybody will get to have one guru mentor, and these are people who've taught in the past, and they've TA'd in the past, and they've run big sites, and so they kind of know what it's like to handle a whole lot of students, and they've seen a lot of different stories. So we welcome them in as student leadership, and so they'll be mentoring you directly, and you'll get to talk to them once a week. You'll also get to talk to me. I mean, here I am with my cowboy hat. I'll be here training you with the facilitator training. We'll be doing some check-ins during the course. And I'll be here to talk through stuff if you're interested in, a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm really more involved in the cybersecurity course because that's a lot of my background's in cybersecurity. So, yeah. The other two folks that you might recognize are Patricia and Karen. So Patricia and Karen, Patricia kind of knows, sees all of CodePath at a high level, and so she watches all of the statistics and things like that, and helps us to find what our best practices are and where we're doing the best, where students are happiest and learning the most and getting the best jobs and things like that, so we can replicate that success. And then Karen keeps us all on track to get everything done on time, because it is a lot of stuff, and I'm going to go over all that stuff that she helps us stay on track for. So Karen is like the queen of time, and she'll be here to help us stay, not miss our deadline so that we can actually run our classes. So yeah, that's CodePath in a nutshell. Oh, and I should have somehow moved this around. Just wanted to sort of say, we're across a lot of different universities, and so you'll meet people in this session, but if you end up coming to the Wednesday session, you'll meet a different set of people. We're across 50 different colleges. Last year we hit 4,500 students served, and 1,400 were just last year. And so that was our biggest year ever. This year is poised to be even bigger. It'll be remote, and so, or some of it will, and so it's going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, last year 44% were women or people who are underrepresented in the populations that are local to them. And 200, yeah, we had a whole bunch of people really pitching in, including all of you. So that's how that number got to be that big, is because all of you show up to this. Okay, so I'm just gonna break your brain a break. I've been talking for a moment. Anyone have any questions about CodePath? And I just want to say, in case you've come in and you've just gotten here, if you are at a protest right now, you can watch the video afterwards. I would rather you be situationally aware of your surroundings. So thank you for trying to make it. If you are outside at a protest, go back to being in the world around you, please, and come back and watch this video. Cool. Just want to make sure. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Cool. We'll move on. So what we're going to be doing in the facilitator sessions is a bunch of different stuff. Today, we're going to drop a bunch of links on you. These links are dense. Don't glance over them and then close them and forget they exist. They are the best practices and the way to run the course and everything you've got to do outside of showing up and teaching. So there's a bunch of stuff. It's mostly logistics. And so we've made a handy checklist so that you don't have to remember everything or come up with everything on your own. And we're going to talk about that. The next time we run this will be in late June or early July. And so we'll send you a calendar invite. And what we'll do is cover more of the actual nitty-gritty of what do you do when you're inside the classroom. I've posted the link to this deck, and so you can kind of scroll down and see there's some stuff about Oh, now I gotta wait for it to load. But there's some stuff about like the schedule and how to be a good presenter and things like that. So and how to leverage student leadership in your own classroom to help make sure everybody's got stuff. So we'll talk about pods and like timelines and things like that in the next few sessions. And today mostly marketing and logistics, which is really super critical to start soon. What we're hoping that you get out of this in terms of literal practical experience is it's not just that you'll have a really deep understanding of the material. Trust me, as a teacher, you have to develop a very deep understanding of the material in order to teach it. And so we know that you're going to gain a really deep technical expertise, but you'll also gain real practical leadership skills, and you'll start to understand what the body language of capturing a room is. You'll start to understand how to be on time and how to get people to show up to things. And those are really critical skills. And you'll be able to talk about those organizing efforts that you did in job interviews. And let me tell you, when you talk about leading a university class, and whatever it is you're leading a university class in, people are going to think you know it way more awesome than, I mean, maybe than you do, so study up. But also, like, it really helps to lend you credibility. And that's a lot of why we want you to do this, is it will lend you a great deal of credibility, and it should help you when you're finding a career. So yeah, we want you to develop technical expertise, be a strong and engaging facilitator. We want you to be able to manage teams, get teams to deliver things. And that's a hard skill. That's management. And also see a bigger picture, see a community at large, and see things as they affect those communities. All right, so the resources and the logistics. So let's kind of go over them because they are, again, big links. The course portal is what you're used to using. So that's this. If you've been in Android, it looks like this. You've seen submitting assignments, you've seen all of these units. What you have probably not seen is that if you're an instructor, you can see other tabs, secret tabs, tabs for how to run the session. So the Tech Fellow notes here will basically tell you kind of everything that you need to know. It'll tell you stuff, maybe if it's for credit, there will be, details sometimes that you need to understand. So there's a lot of stuff in here, and reading through this will help you visualize what is that first class session gonna look like. Session 1, 90 minutes, session 2, it kind of tells you and has like a minute by minute breakdown, about 30 minutes of like presenting the course orientation deck. Links to pre-work instructions, going over pre-work instructions with students. It has like minute by minute breakdown so that you can plan those sessions and communicate to students what are we gonna do, which is what keeps people engaged, right? If I just said, we're gonna talk for an hour, you would be very like, I have to just watch this thing happen for an hour. So it's really critical to read through this stuff and also communicate it with your students. So this is the course portal. You'll be signed into whatever course. You'll be able to click up here where it says courses and see whichever course it is that you are in. You can see that you'll be able to see it'll say Cybersecurity University Fall 2020. It's not up yet. It won't be up until later this summer, but when it is up, it'll look something like this. And then you'll be able to find your specific university somewhere here. And that's where information about your exact right, like attendance dates and stuff is going to be. You can see that you'll be able to see what it looks like if you're a student versus what it looks like if you're a TA or an observer. So just to kind of give you an idea of what's up here. There's quick links. I don't know if anyone's looked at these before, but these are like the quick links for the course. We'll kind of go over them, but I mean, just kind of dig through this stuff. And especially open this last one. This is where your organizer dashboard is going to be. That information is the information the students need to know when they sign up for a course. Think about it. When you sign up for a course, you kind of go to yourself, okay, I've got that class on Wednesday and I've got that class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so you have to know, is this class, does it fit in the, you know, the schedule puzzle? And so figuring out when your class is really super critical. And so we need to put that information here in the organizer dashboard, which you can always get to here from that organizer links thing. Okay, so mess around in here. This is one of the resources that we have for you. It's basically the plan for the whole course. We'll have decks in there, so you don't have to make your own slide decks. You don't have to come up with your own plans, but we will talk about how to make your own plans, how to make, how to prepare for doing labs, and if you're gonna like present something live. So we'll talk about how to make your own plans later, but we wanna make sure that you know that there is a plan that you can always fall back on so long as you know how to read the plan. So. There's support at codepath.org. This is generally going to be stuff like if you are going to be late turning something in, just email support at codepath.org. If you're going to miss a session and you need access to something, or you need all the links that I gave out or something like that, support at codepath.org can help you. If you're not signed in to the courses portal, or if there's anything like happening with the tech, basically. Or the calendar invites or the permissions for something, email support at codepath.org. For technical stuff, I know everyone always asks themselves when they sign up to teach a class, okay, but what if a student has a question and I don't know the answer to that question? The answer to that is you tell them to go to discussions.codepath.com. Tech knowledge is big, it's huge, and nobody has all of it, right? And so that's why Stack Overflow exists. All senior devs use Stack Overflow all the time, every single day for their jobs. So this is kind of the internal Stack Overflow, basically, for CodePath by itself, right? And students can feel safe, I think, posting here. Let's see, let me find an example. Not very well organized when you can see all the things. iOS for University, here we go. You can kind of see where students are able to ask questions, and I feel like students often don't want to post their questions on Stack Overflow. It's usually 1 in 10 that will do it, but students way more often will post their questions here, and tech fellows from across the country can see it. And so if somebody's really good at this part and you're really good at that part, you can kind of help each other. But also the gurus are there. I'm there. I check on it sometimes whenever there's something that like no one can answer. I guess I can Google it really hard. You know, that's my superpower. So there's a bunch of help here, and students like to help each other with it. And so it's active, but it's only as active as you push it. And if students don't know about it and don't know that people are being paid to make sure that every student question doesn't go unanswered, like then they won't use it and they won't realize that they have that help. So make sure that you become familiar with the discussion system and push the discussion system, because it really does help students when they are stuck. So, and it's basically your backup TA that's always there. It's your robot friend that's fun to be with. So yeah. Okay, so that's the discussion board. And then the last thing is the Slack channel. Especially remotely, especially when everyone's remote, Slack is really the way that everyone comes together. And I've worked at a lot of remote companies, and when you're at a remote company, Slack kind of becomes the office, right? So especially this year, Slack is going to be where a lot of conversations happen, and a lot of those moments that you would normally have with students where they're kind of maybe nervous to ask a question in front of the rest of the class, they're going to be able to direct message you. And so you want to use Slack, and I think it's going to be very important to individually in each one of your classrooms try to create a Slack channel that is psychologically safe. And the best way to do that is memes and jokes and cool links of cool stuff you saw and things like that. And when you do that, they'll do that. And when they do that, everyone will just talk a lot, and then people will ask questions because they're not you know, it's like being the first one to talk in a quiet room. Nobody wants to do that. So these are the various ways that you will be able to communicate with us and with your students. And then we'll also have this channel for y'all. This is the channel for all of you. I'm trying to pull it up, but it's being real slow. Hold on. So you should all have access to this. And basically, yeah, this is the Tech Fellows Fall 2020 Slack channel. I shared some cool links. There's links to the marketing playbook and the deck in here. And so there'll be announcements in here, but don't feel, feel free to ask questions to fellow teachers. This is where teachers can share approaches that they've had that worked, and also like tricky situations where they're not sure what to do. So this is your, a support network, and I'll also be in there. And I'm also on Slack as Liz the developer. So you can always message me. Just wanted to pause. I've been talking, and I want to make sure everybody has a chance to ask questions. Anybody got them? Just giving you a minute. Something I always like to do as a teacher is when I say, do you have any questions? Like, it takes a second, your brain to go, what did I just absorb? And you have to check in with yourself. What did I just absorb? Well, then you kind of enumerate it and you digest it. And then you realize, oh, actually, I do have a question. And that takes a minute, several minutes. And so I always recommend, if you say, anybody have any questions? You just wait. Wait for a little bit. Try to do it in silence. You can say, I just want to make sure everyone has a chance to think. But give yourself ample wait time, and that will help when you're facilitating. See, there's a question. Didn't receive any token for registering in Slack. You should have it in your email. So check your email, just search for CodePath Slack. You can go to codepath.slack.com and enter the email that you gave us. And if it doesn't recognize you, then reach out to support@codepath.org and we'll get you that invite. Will my TPM account be different than the account that I used for CodePath? No, it will be the same unless you give us a different email address, in which case it will be different. But let us know what that email address was, and then we'll merge them. We're working on a secret badge system. Don't tell anyone. So you probably want to get those merged. So yeah. Any other questions? See how those 2 questions showed up? Just want to call that out because y'all are all going to be teachers soon. The next topic I wanted to just get into was the task tracker. So the task tracker is basically what I was saying earlier. It's the best practices, right? So I'm just going to pull this up. This is the Android task tracker. And what you'll see is that we have your university icons here. We'll have your names. So if you don't have like 2 tech fellows in here, we're gonna talk about that. But you should see like yourself and your partner, and then you'll have a status column here. And then I can't edit this, but you'll be able to click into here and actually like change the status from completed, not started, and done. I think is in there. So what you'll want to do is keep this up to date. Basically what this is it's kind of like all of the steps that you need to take and the order in which you need to take them, and like the point at which you need to have taken them by in order to successfully run a course. So if you are a non-credit site and you're not going to be able to give credit, and your site is going to be on site, then you'll need to start finding a classroom. I recommend, it says try for a 40-person room. If your college is opening, I don't know, try to get a big room, a really big room, so that people can kind of have some distance, right? Like use your critical reasoning on this list. Also, as I mentioned earlier, super critical to have a meeting date and time. We'll have some due dates that we'll post in here. So this will get updated, but try to do these as early as possible. because otherwise, you know, it's really hard to get people to register. And then we have a bunch of information. You got to record your course details, and then there's a bunch of different marketing sort of things that we'll need you to do. I'm going to leave that to the literal experts that we have brought, so I'll hold off on that. But there's a bunch of specific tasks that we want you to take, and we've made it as easy as possible. But this is like the typical playbook for sort of starting a student club. It's like how to start and run a student club. So yeah. And then it's attending all these sessions and the various different things that we do in the sessions and filling out all the surveys and things like that. So go through this task tracker. It's a bunch of just stuff that we need you to do and things that we need you to tell us about in order to know that you're actually able to be running the course. So yeah, that's each course has its own task tracker. Certain courses have more little task tracker things than others. I think cybersecurity's got more stuff. Like for instance, let's see, yeah, you need to. I think with cybersecurity, you need to get tokens and things like that. So there's a bunch of other like more technical DevOpsy setup things that you have to do for cybersecurity. But for iOS and Android, you know, it's really just that stuff. And reviewing the curriculum, especially with the mobile stuff, everything moves super fast. And I think we had to make a bunch of changes and we will make more changes this summer to update all the different APIs. Maybe we're going to use another thing other than parse. So there's some changes coming down the pike. And yeah, so just kind of stay on top of the curriculum and like read the docs, you know, that's kind of what we need you to do. And I think some of that stuff is in here. So that's the task tracker. I just want to see, is anyone, let's see, can we do Zoom classes if our college is not open in the fall? The answer is yes, we will be doing something remote. What we're trying to figure out is how exactly to run it to where like, we have a bunch of people who want to help run and we have a bunch of students from all those universities, but it doesn't make sense to give one person 60 people and one person 10 people. So we're trying to figure out exactly how to make that happen and what we should do. And it'll probably be a big collaborative classroom with a bunch of tech fellows. So if you're running remote, that's why normally we run all these training, like next week we'd meet on Wednesday and Thursday and we talk about all of this stuff, but we're actually going to push it to the middle. And that's to kind of figure out the best way to you know, run a distributed big remote class with all of you and to give opportunity to all the students who are in your school, you know. So yeah, it's gonna be a thing. We're gonna have to do some brainstorming together, and you'll be invited in on some of those discussions. Like we'll figure out how to do some stuff high level, but we do want your advice and your thoughts. So you'll be invited in on that. So yeah, any other questions? What we're gonna do next, and I'm watching for questions. So if you're typing something, continue typing. Is we're gonna do a stretch and share icebreaker. So in breakout rooms, you're gonna go into a random breakout room with a bunch of random people, and they're not gonna be cybersecurity. If you're cybersecurity, totally, they're, you know, or like totally iOS. Maybe it will. It's going to be random, so you will meet some people. What I want you to do is pick a stretch, and I want you to think about, okay, what do I do when I'm gonna type, right? A stretch I like to do is this one, as it helps you recover from carpal tunnel, and I learned it while I was in physical therapy for carpal tunnel. So definitely stretch out before you start coding. And I want you to share a stretch you like by demonstrating it, and then everybody does it, you know, and then introduce yourself. What's your name, what university, what course, and then show a cool tool. I shared Jitsi, which is it's a self-hosted video conferencing thing. You can deploy it on a cloud, whatever cloud you know how to use. So if you're, you know, concerned about Zoom being generally working with the government, you could deploy your own if you want to. So that's a cool tool I'm learning right now. What if you don't have a camera? If you don't have a camera, it's okay. Don't worry. And again, just wanted to mention, if you're at a protest, you can watch this video later. It's okay. But if you're like, in your house and you don't have a camera, just talk. It's okay. If you could find usually you can find like a WikiHow, so like Google it really fast, I don't know, maybe that'll help everyone. It'd be great. But yeah, introduce yourselves, and I'm gonna send you to the breakout rooms in just a minute. Okay, if I can get Zoom to cooperate. Okay, breakout rooms. Are you doing it? Breakout? Like, there we go. Okay. 4 rooms, 5 rooms, 6 rooms, no, 5 rooms. Let's do that. Okay, cool. Let's come in the rooms. Open. Oh, you were kicked out. Let's see. I think you're supposed to be in breakout room 1. Okay. Let's see. Just like on the side. Hold on. Okay, I don't know how to get you on. I don't know how to move you to the breakout room, so I'm gonna make you a co-host, and then you'll see a little button that says breakout rooms. I think you were gonna be in breakout room 1. So just open that up and um, open up breakout rooms. It'll be kind of like where it says participants. It'll be somewhere in there, or it'll say like more, and then you click on it and it says breakout rooms. Yeah, cool. And Samina, are you here? Or is that like and Yada, are you here? I think there's like some zombie instances of both of you. Yada seems like they're in breakout room 5, but Samina, it seems like you're in here to me.
think you're muted, Liz.
Sorry, my computer's a little laggy. I didn't see that I was muted. What we're going to transition to now is talking about growing your community, mass communications with our wonderful experts, Emily and Vic, who will explain how to grow your classes. Thanks, Emily. Thanks, y'all. Give a warm welcome to Emily and Vic.
Thank you, Liz. Let me share my screen really quickly. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? All good? Okay. All right, let's do this. Hi, everybody. So as Liz had mentioned, my name is Emily Chong, and I have my partner in crime, Victoria Angulo, or Vic. Both of us, we are actually fairly new to CodePath. I joined CodePath about 2 months ago. Vic joined about a month ago. But we are basically your support team in helping you grow your community, helping you fill your classes with students for you to teach. So we're super excited to talk to you about the various activities that you can do and how, Vic and I will be with you throughout the summer and also going into the fall semester for support. Vic, do you want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Emily. Hi, everyone. My name is Victoria Angulo, but I go by Vic, and I'm the head of growth and university relations here at CodePath. Um, Prior to working at CodePath, I worked at Girls Who Code, leading the expansion for getting girls involved in technology throughout Florida and Alabama. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you all for stepping up to the plate. And I went to Florida State and FIU. Go Noles! And I'm just really excited to be here and help you all in getting your classrooms filled up. Thank you.
Great. So I wanted to share a quick little story before we sort of dive into the activities. So I actually went to New York University many years ago. I did not major in computer science. I actually majored in marketing and finance. However, the reason why I think the story could be relevant for you is because I wanted to talk to you about summer internship interview and behavioral questions. At NYU, when I first joined as a freshman, one of the things that the school was really diligent about making sure the students were aware was the importance of landing that summer internship between junior and senior year. And so, I kind of went through the motions. And when when I landed the interview with American Express, these were some of the questions that were posed to me. They were things like, give me an example of a time when you were able to successfully persuade or motivate someone. Or how do you make a case for your vision and opinion? How do you stay organized? Or maybe tell me a time when you had to work with someone who maybe you didn't always get along with, whose personality was very different from yours. Or give me an example of how you set goals and achieve them. Again, just questions that were very different from what I was learning at university, things that none of my professors ever taught me. And the only reason why I was able to answer those questions was all based on my extracurricular activities outside of the classes. At that time, I was involved in starting an Asian interest club or organization on campus. And I had to work with, apologies, that's my daughter. I had to work with other classmates to define our club's mission. We were given a budget. We had to market the club and get members to join us. We had to establish roles and responsibilities. These are all the things that you're going to encounter during your time as a tech fellow, pretty much between now and for the fall semester. And so my point is, you know, all the lessons that you're going to learn will be able to help you formulate answers to be able to answer for the behavior interview questions, so that regardless of whether you go to American Express or Google or what have you, these are questions that you will encounter over and over again in your career when you graduate and step out into the real world. So I also wanted to acknowledge that this semester will be very unlike others, and that you may be asked to start a course or recruit students during a time when everybody is remote. So Vic and I are going to talk about ways to help you recruit the students, even though you may not physically be on campus, which poses an interesting challenge to everybody. So the first thing that I wanted to just reiterate and make sure that there is an understanding is there are goals as part of being a tech fellow. In order for you to launch and teach a class by week 1 of your semester or your quarter, you will need to have 25 students enrolled by then. History shows that usually in order for you to get to the 25 students, you'll need to recruit 60 applications, because as you know, not every student who applies will be accepted into the course or will successfully pass the assessment. So what you should really do is just aim to get at least 60 students to apply. And then the deadline that we have here to complete all the marketing tasks, and I'll talk about the task tracker later, we're giving everybody until July 24, because we want to make sure that you guys have enough time to complete all of the marketing tasks. Because every campus is different, every setup is different, we're not going to come in and say, you know, week 1 you have to email everybody, week 2 you have to do this, but your overall deadline to complete everything will be July 24th. So how will you promote the course? Now, these are a lot of activities that students in the past have done and have found them to be very successful. So the first one is, and actually, first of all, I should remind everybody that this marketing portion or this community building portion is actually only applicable for those who are teaching non-credit courses. If you're teaching for credit, you get to benefit from the course being available on your student registrar, so you kind of really don't have to do any of this. So you can just hang out and listen, or you know, maybe
you can help the other universities. Like, you know, if you know of a cool Discord where there are a bunch of nerds and nobody's talked about CodePath there, definitely talk about CodePath there, please.
Okay, so in terms of promoting the course, one, definitely try to ask a professor or faculty member to announce the course. They have access to the entire CS student body at your school. We have actually designed a bunch of flyers for you to just download and either email. If you're on campus, you can even print them and pass them out. We have flyers for iOS, for Android, for cybersecurity. But yeah, share these flyers with the professor or faculty member. They have information about the courses. The other thing that you will want to do is send at least 2 email announcements about the course to large CS classes with students. To make your job as easy as possible, we've already written those email messages for you. So all you need to do is click this link where it says email templates, and we have pre-written copy for iOS, for Android, and also for cybersecurity. So again, Victoria and my job is really all about trying to make life as easy as possible for you. The third one, and this is like a really successful tactic for many former tech fellows that we've spoken to in the past, which is reach out to all the club leaders at your university. Reach out to the CS clubs or various tech clubs such as ACM or IEEE, or let's say Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers if they're at your university. Ask them to spread the word about the course as well. And what you can do is, you can send them the email flyer, or you can send them the flyers, you can send them the email templates. Again, we're trying to, we have all these materials prepared for you to use. And then, because we are very much present on digital channels these days, you can also post the announcements about the course on major, whether it's Facebook groups, LinkedIn, or Discord, or Slack, what have you. Feel free to go and share information about these courses. We have created social media cards about each course. We've also written the language about each course, so all you would have to do is just copy, paste. And then to save you even more time, one of the great things that Vic did was she created sort of a directory of all the major student groups that are that have a social media presence per university. So if you click on this link, it'll take you to a Google Doc. You can look up University of California, San Diego, and it will tell you all of the major student groups and let's say what their Facebook pages are, what their LinkedIn pages are, and all you have to do is just click on each one and use the language that we have here. And then last but not least, if your school is operating on campus, feel free to post flyers in the high traffic areas around the school too. We know it's a little funny, so with COVID and social distancing, but we have heard in the past that a lot of students, the reason why they sign up is because they saw one of our flyers. They thought, cool, I'd love to check this out. Nick?
Yeah, great. Thank you, Emily. So one of the most important things that you can do is actually educate the community. So you know how awesome CodePath is. You know that these courses are industry backed. You know that you are actually, leveling up your experience at college by taking these courses, but maybe some of your peers don't have that same knowledge. So by educating them, the more that you can talk about CodePath, just letting them know, who's backing us, what's our mission, why are we doing what we do, you can actually empower students around you and invite them to join you on this journey, right? So we actually created virtual info sessions that myself and some of our fabulous gurus will be hosting throughout the month of July to help you with these goals, where you can tell, whoever you meet that might be interested but is kind of weary about it or has more questions, to go ahead and join those info sessions so that we can answer those questions. And whatever I can't answer, I'm sure the gurus will be able to answer for them. Inside of these links here, you can see it'll actually take you to a landing page that includes some dates and times where people can go ahead and sign up. And then we'll have a Zoom, much like this one, where we're answering those questions and walking them through the details. Also, for our non-credit sites, you actually have a $200 budget to host an on-campus event. So pizza parties, we've heard, are quite the rage. Everybody loves pizza. You can get some signups there, but we know that maybe you won't be on campus. So please reach out. We'll help you think through a virtual event that will work well. Maybe it's Starbucks gift cards, maybe it's a promo code for Uber Eats that we send out to people that are interested and walk them through pre-work or work on that together. Once again, we just want to educate people about what CodePath is, why should they take on another undertaking on top of their courses, because what we know the value, you all are really the voice and the heart of CodePath. So the more that you can get the word out, we really appreciate that. All right, so the more the merrier. At UCI, they've really done a great community building where they actually linked up with more than just one cohort of CodePath students and came together to actually create a a club. So if you have a club on your campus, it's actually much easier to book a classroom, to be a part of a club fair. So considering becoming a club can be something that'll be really helpful to you in this moment, but also the sustainability of your group moving forward. Please feel free to include me on emails, reach out to me on Slack. I am readily available to help you with any issues that you might have as far as setting up a club goes. We've heard in the past that doing this can actually bring on a lot of structure and community, as well as divvying up some of these responsibilities. And once again, as Emily was mentioning, creating that club just has more to speak to your experience about organizing and leading in your community.
Cool. All right, so in terms of resources, again, just to reiterate, Vic and I, we are basically trying to give you a toolkit to make your life as easy as possible. So there is this thing called the Student Marketing Playbook. If you click on the link, it takes you to this HackMD page. And it basically includes all of the sort of an outreach checklist for you to follow, which pretty much essentially follows what we just talked about in this presentation. And then it includes all of the key resources that I just referenced earlier. So like I said, we have flyers, semester-long courses for each type of course. We've got quarter-long course flyers for the UC schools. We have social media cards. We have social media accounts of the university club groups, email templates. There is this thing called the marketing contacts repo. So let's say if you want to look up all of the technology clubs at Berea College, you can just click on this link, type in the name of your university, and then it will serve up all of the different clubs and their contacts. And then you can reach out to those contacts and ask them to spread the word about the fact that you are teaching this course. Vic has also recorded a video to show you how to use this marketing contacts repo. So in case you forget what I just said, or you kind of need a quick refresher, you can certainly watch this video. If for some reason you want to look up more clubs, you know, I was talking to a student earlier today, and she also made the suggestion that, you know, you don't necessarily just have to reach out to the technology or the CS clubs, but there are also a lot of other student interest clubs that may be that may want to you know, promote the free courses that CodePath has to offer. And so here in this video, Vic also shows you how to go to your university website, how to look up student clubs, how to try to find their contact information. So this is also a very useful resource. And then over here is the leaderboard. So this will be updated, I believe, on a weekly basis, so that every week you'll be able to track, well, how many students have applied, how many students have enrolled. And we'll be monitoring this as well. So we will be in touch with you throughout the next couple of months to see how the enrollment is going and how we can help you if necessary. So going back to the presentation, this is just a quick preview of what the flyer looks like. And so what has worked well? So partnering, like I said, partnering with a CS Tech student group, having them announce the class to their members is really effective. Again, it's kind of like that network effect. So definitely try to do that. Asking a professor or faculty member to announce the course is also extremely effective. We've heard from a lot of past tech fellows, the pizza party's a hit. Again, if your university is running remotely, we are here to brainstorm with you to figure out how to run a virtual event. We've done it in the past through other settings. It's pretty easy to set up as well. Sharing the course on social media, all of you are probably on social media in various shapes and forms. So that's another big one. And then again, I saw it on a flyer. I've heard a lot of students also say that too. I also just want to mention, because we recognize that this semester may be a little challenging, especially since a lot of schools will be remote. Earlier, I was just speaking with a tech fellow who's based in Thailand. So recruiting may be challenging, we don't know. So to help you out, we are actually going to offer an incentive. Basically, if you meet your minimum goal by day 1 of week 1 of your class, you'll receive a $200 Visa gift card. And then for each additional 10 students enrolled above the minimum goal, you will receive an additional $50. So let's say if you manage to get 35 students enrolled, that's $250. So, you know, we just wanted to give you a little bit of a boost to help you out, because we know that it could be challenging this summer. And then last but not least, we have marketing office hours. So Vic and I, we are here to support you. You should see us as kind of like your sort of, I guess, background support group. So we have scheduled a bunch of office hours. These are not mandatory. They are meant for you to come to us if, let's say, you run into an issue and you need help, or if you need some brainstorming on how to spend that $200 budget. So feel free to add these meetings to your calendar. You do not have to go to any of them. If you are you know, doing really well in enrollment, you do not have to go to all of them. You could go to one, you can go to a few. This is just meant to help you out. And that is it. Any questions? I'm gonna stop sharing and then go to the chat.
That was awesome. Thank you. Just want to make sure my computer's like, there we go. Okay. Yeah, thanks again. I did just want to say, like, this is sort of the first project of being a tech fellow, is being creative about this. So if you have an idea of like a virtual event that you think is cool or fun to run, like, for example, some of the tech fellows and I and the gurus talked about possibly like watching like a hackery movie on Twitch with a bunch of students, you know, and then like talking about what's not realistic and what's totally realistic, you know, maybe making fun of it a bit, and then of course promoting the course. And so we're open to like creative examples. So think broadly, give it some time and let your brain like think, okay, how do I get people together to like get really excited again about learning, you know? So there's that, and the other thing is, I'll say from a cybersecurity perspective, and those of you who are in the cybersecurity like world or even interested in that, what you're really doing, what this would be called in the field is open source intelligence gathering. And so finding who are the other student organizers on your campus and stuff like that, that's a really common thing that you will need to do as somebody in the security field if you really want to go in there deep. So super relevant to your day-to-day life. And yeah, just think about social engineering, right? Like that's really kind of what that world is based on, you know? So think about that, and when you're you know, thinking about how do you grow your class, think about that applicability. So if nobody has any questions, I mean, basically the last, I mean, I know we're about 15 minutes over time, but I did want to say, you know, I'm opening it up. You can ask me anything. It does not have to be specifically on the topic of this We do have one final thing we would love for you to do, which is to fill out the course survey. And now that you are teachers, you must know how important the course survey is to teachers. It's how we know if you liked our class or not. So please fill out the course survey, and I'm trying to copy the link, but I am having a very slow computer. So give me a moment to just do that, and I'll just drop it in the Zoom chat. It's also going to be in the Slack chat. Please take the last 5 minutes, fill that out, and let us know how we did on this first training. I'm also going to drop this in the channel. It will take a minute because the internet. There we go. I have. All right. I posted it in the Slack, so it's there. Yeah, and then if your school's not on the list, we just haven't had a chance to add it yet. So just pick some university and then tell us somewhere in the comments where you go, and we'll fix it in post. So it'll be okay. Yeah, it's it's a whole process. We got to add each university every time someone signs up. So sometimes it's a little behind. So yeah. And if anyone has any other questions, again, ask me anything. Happy to weigh in on whatever it is, or Vic or Emily also have great advice for you on how to grow your communities, how to gather intelligence. They don't call it intelligence gathering because they know that it doesn't sound as good. But
can I add one thing, Liz?
yeah.
So I am always looking for events, virtual events where other badass students like yourselves are at. So please, I'm gonna drop my email in the chat. If there's like a cool virtual event that you all are going to where you think there'll be other students so that I can encourage them to bring CodePath to their campus, please let me know. In-person events, whenever that starts to happen again as well, let me know. I'll be right there with you. I'm going to drop my info in here, and I'm also on Slack.
Here to conspire.